Joining us now, Virginia Congressman Morgan Griffith of House Energy and Forbes Media Chair and Editor-in-Chief Steve Forbes. It's great to see you both. First to you, Congressman, are Democrats in panic mode because they're resorting to racial issues to win, not pocketbook issues like taxes, jobs, safety, or schools? It seems, and well, look at this, we've got Terry McAuliffe, campaign staffers physically blocking the media from asking McAuliffe questions. That exchange captured by journalist Nicholas Balassi. What do you say to all of this?
Well, I definitely think the McAuliffe campaign's been in a panic for the last few days, probably the last couple of weeks, because parents matter, and Glenn Youngkin has been pushing that. You had the failure of the Biden administration on so many issues, and then Terry McAuliffe says that parents shouldn't be involved in their students' education. That just lit the fuse for the final stages of this campaign, and I think we're going to be very successful today. We're seeing really great turnout in the red areas of Virginia and okay turnout in the blue areas.
What do you think, Steve, to the congressman's point? McAuliffe said the race is not about Trump, but he kept bringing up Trump. There's widespread pessimism about Democrat leadership. You've seen the NBC poll. It's bad for Democrats. 71% say that we're on the wrong track. 70% of independents, half of Democrats say that. What do you think about this, Steve? What's your word?
Well, the fact is you just can't run against Donald Trump. And I think Youngkin ran a great campaign in terms of focusing on issues, education, that hated grocery tax and things like that. And the McAuliffe, they ran a great ad against McAuliffe saying where he just says Trump, 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 like a tweeting bird every time he brought Trump up. And I think Virginia voters see through it. And the education thing is very important. People are really reacting really adversely to what happened during the shutdowns and where the teachers union said, we run things, we don't want the schools to reopen. And that's why you saw education savings accounts pass in West Virginia and Kentucky and parental movements elsewhere. And you're seeing it in Virginia. You're starting to see it here in New Jersey as well. Parents want to control their kids' education.
Yeah, and they don't want to co-parent their own kids with the government, to Steve's point. Right, Congressman? I mean, McAuliffe has two problems. The education issue, it exploded into a brand new movement after McAuliffe told parents to butt out. It's about parents don't want to racialize 5-year-olds. And on Sunday, McAuliffe said parents should not be allowed to tell schools what to put in school libraries when porn has been found in school libraries. What do you say, sir?
Well, you know, the bottom line is parents matter. Parents ought to be involved in their school's education and their kids' education and in the schools their children are going to. And I have 2 school-age children, and I want to be involved in their education, and I want to know what's going on, and I have a right to be a participant in that. And Terry McAuliffe said that I don't have that right, and parents don't like that. Also, they've been doing things with our magnet schools and trying to say, okay, we no longer want to have the best schools in the country. We want to do different things because it's equality. Wait a minute. We want to make sure everybody has an opportunity, an equal opportunity for the best education they can get. But that doesn't mean you dumb down your better schools in order to get there.
You know, to the congressman, his point, Steve, Terry McAuliffe vetoed a bill. He vetoed a bill in 2016 that would have let parents see what is inside school libraries. It was Terry McAuliffe's administration, starting in 2015, saying yes, push on critical race theory. Let's watch Glenn Youngkin on this last night. Watch.
Well, first of all, this is about parents and Terry McAuliffe wanting to put government between parents and their children. And we in Virginia have a law that says parents have a fundamental right to make decisions with regards to their kids' education. I stand for it. Terry's against it. It's that clear. And voters are standing up and rejecting Terry McAuliffe. And he's just running the playbook that he wrote. He's the godfather of the modern day Democratic Party. And he doesn't know what else to do other than introduce race into this. And I'll tell you, Sean, I'm not going to be lectured by a guy on race who embraces someone who wore blackface and then asks him to leave and then gets him back and has somebody on his ticket who wore blackface.
That was about also Virginia Governor Northam. Northam. So, you know, Martin Luther King's vision of a colorblind society, it's being upended here, Steve. What do you say?
Well, that's right. And I think most American people are adversely reacting to that. And that's why I think, again, we're seeing a movement where the money should be controlled by parents. Choose the best schools for their kids. Each kid is different. So you may have a great school in your neighborhood, but it may not be right for your particular child. So let the money go to the kids. And I think that movement is going to grow. It's the taxpayers' money. They should be able to determine where it goes to best meet the needs of these children, and not bureaucrats standing in the way and blocking kids getting a good education and parents not being able to determine the best curriculum. We know it works in schools.
Yeah, and so to what Steve is saying, there's also this. Terry McAuliffe, Congressman, is turning to the Democrat playbook, saying that Republicans are racist and sexist and misogynist and homophobic and xenophobic. He had the Lincoln Project using Democrat staffers dressed up as tiki torch-carrying white supremacists pretending to be Glenn Youngkin supporters. And, you know, Terry McAuliffe is saying Virginia parents are basically racist, saying the outrage over critical race theory is a racist dog whistle. We've got the gentleman who ran the Urban Institute saying, wait a second, Terry McAuliffe is using a dog megaphone. CRT is about dividing students based on race. What do you say to all that?
Well, I would have to agree CRT is about dividing students on race, but I would also just point out that we have the most diverse ticket in the history of the Commonwealth of Virginia. Our lieutenant governor candidate, Winsome Sears, is a great lady. She's from Jamaica. She's an African American. Our attorney general candidate's mother came from Cuba. So we have, you know, the whole gamut. And yet, even though we have the most diverse ticket for any party in the state of Virginia in history, they still want to call us racist. It's absolutely absurd.
You know, Steve, there's also this separate issue, Steve Forbes, about the push for mail-in ballots. You know, voters are showing that they have low trust in voter integrity. The NBC poll shows 66% are confident their vote will be counted accurately, but that's down from 85% in October 2020. Are you worried about absentee ballots and mail-in ballots in this race?
I hope not. But I think this goes to show this early voting has got to be really looked at again. It's one thing if you're away and you need an absentee ballot. But what are campaigns about? Campaigns are about making issues, enabling people to measure these candidates. So why let people vote in September when by November they may say, hey, I think education is really an important issue. I didn't realize it in September. I'd like to change my vote. That's why we should encourage voting on Election Day. That increases integrity and also, I think, makes for a better political environment.
All right, we'll be watching the New Jersey and Virginia races tonight. Thank you, Congressman Griffith and Steve Forbes. It's good to see you.